Before you learn about the history and benefits of Amazonian Copaiba tree sap, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to our channel. Every week we share new videos exploring different plants from the Amazon and their potential effects on overall health. The story of Amazonian Copaiba begins long before European colonizers ever arrived in South America. Long before maps were drawn, borders established, or cities built across the Amazon region, trees from the genus Copaiba were already part of the delicate ecological balance of the rainforest. These trees are considered some of the oldest medicinal species used by forest communities, and their presence is closely tied to the natural history of the Amazon itself. Copaiba belongs to the botanical family Fabaceae, the same family that includes legumes. However, unlike many of the better-known plants in this family, the Copaiba tree stands out for producing a rare substance, a medicinal oleoresin, stored inside the trunk of the tree. This substance is known as Copaiba oil, widely considered by researchers to be one of the most important natural products found in the Amazon rainforest. Scientists believe the earliest species of Copaiba appeared millions of years ago during periods of transformation in South America's tropical forests. Over thousands of generations, these trees adapted to the hot, humid climate of the Amazon, developing thick trunks, deep roots, and an internal system capable of producing large amounts of protective resin. This resin, what we know today as Copaiba oil, acts as a natural defense mechanism, protecting the tree from fungi, bacteria, and insects. Several species of Copaiba grow throughout the Amazon. Among the most well-known are Copaiba officinalis, Copaiba langsdorffii, and Copaiba reticulata. Each species produces an oil with slightly different chemical characteristics which can influence its aroma, color, and therapeutic properties. Long before modern science began studying these trees, indigenous peoples of the Amazon already had a deep understanding of their properties. Tribes living across regions of the Brazilian, Peruvian, and Colombian rainforest learned how to identify mature trees and discovered that by carefully drilling a small hole in the trunk, a thick oil would slowly flow out. This liquid was collected in natural containers and used as medicine to treat wounds, inflammation, and a variety of illnesses. Historical records suggest that knowledge about Copaiba may go back more than 1,000 years among different Amazonian cultures. For these communities, the tree was not only a source of medicine, but also a symbol of healing and connection to the forest. The oil was applied directly to the skin, mixed into medicinal preparations, and sometimes used in traditional healing rituals. When European explorers arrived in the Amazon during the 16th century, they were amazed by the way indigenous communities used this oil. Chroniclers of the time described Copaiba as a tree that bleeds medicine. Missionaries and naturalists began sending samples of the resin back to Europe, where it soon started being studied and used in natural medicine. During the colonial period, Copaiba oil gained international recognition and became one of the first medicinal products exported from the Amazon. In historical records, it was sometimes referred to as the balsam of the Amazon, or the miracle oil of the tropical forests. Today, the Copaiba tree remains one of the most iconic species of the Amazon rainforest. Beyond its ecological importance, it also represents a powerful example of how traditional knowledge from forest communities often anticipates modern scientific discoveries. Researchers continue studying the chemical compounds present in Copaiba oil to better understand its anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and healing properties. So when we talk about the origin of Amazonian Copaiba, we're not just talking about a tree. We're talking about a story that blends natural evolution, indigenous wisdom, scientific exploration, and the very essence of the Amazon rainforest, a place where nature and ancestral knowledge have walked side by side for thousands of years. About 90% of Copaiba's composition is made up of beta-caryophyllene, the compound responsible for most of its therapeutic effects. Its concentration can reach up to 90% of the essential oil, making it the true driving force behind the medicinal properties of this remarkable Amazonian resin. In recent years, Copaiba oil has attracted growing attention from the scientific community for a specific reason: its potential neuroprotective effects, meaning its ability to help protect brain cells from damage and inflammatory processes. Much of this interest comes from the presence of rare natural compounds found in Copaiba oleoresin, especially beta-caryophyllene, a terpene known for its anti-inflammatory properties and its ability to interact with the nervous system. The human brain is extremely sensitive to inflammation and oxidative stress. These conditions can damage neurons and are associated with the development of several neurological disorders. This is where Copaiba oil begins to stand out. Studies suggest that some of its compounds may work through biological mechanisms that help reduce inflammation in the nervous system and protect brain cells. Beta-caryophyllene, one of the main components of Copaiba oil, has a particularly interesting characteristic. It interacts directly with the body's endocannabinoid system. This biological system plays an important role in regulating pain, inflammation, mood, and neuroprotective processes. More specifically, this compound activates the CB2 receptor, which is present in immune system cells and also in cells involved in protecting nervous tissue. When this receptor is activated, it may help reduce inflammatory processes that affect the brain. This effect is considered especially important because chronic neuroinflammation is believed to play a role in the development of several neurodegenerative diseases. Researchers have been investigating this mechanism in conditions such as Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and other disorders related to brain aging. In addition, some laboratory studies suggest that compounds found in Copaiba oil may help reduce oxidative stress, a biological process caused by an excess of free radicals in the body. Oxidative stress can damage neurons, disrupt synaptic connections, and accelerate brain aging. Substances with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, like those found in Copaiba, may help neutralize some of these harmful effects. Another interesting possibility being explored is that Copaiba compounds may help improve communication between nerve cells. By reducing inflammation in the nervous system, these compounds may create a healthier environment for signal transmission between neurons, which is essential for functions such as memory, learning, and concentration. In natural medicine and herbal therapy, Copaiba oil has long been used to relieve inflammation throughout the body. However, modern science has only recently begun investigating whether these same effects could also apply to the central nervous system. Laboratory experiments and preliminary studies have produced promising results, suggesting that certain compounds in Copaiba may have a protective effect on brain tissue. It's important to note that despite these encouraging findings, most of the research is still in experimental stages. Many studies have been conducted in laboratory models or animal studies, and further clinical research in humans is still needed to fully understand how Copaiba oil may affect the brain. Even so, scientific interest in this Amazonian oil continues to grow. The Amazon rainforest is one of the greatest reservoirs of biodiversity on Earth, and many researchers believe that natural compounds found in plants like Copaiba may play a role in the development of new therapies in the future. In recent years, Copaiba oil has drawn significant interest from the scientific community for a specific reason: its potential neuroprotective effects. In other words, its ability to help protect brain cells from damage and inflammatory processes. This growing attention is largely due to the presence of rare natural compounds found in Copaiba oleoresin, particularly beta-caryophyllene, a terpene known for its anti-inflammatory properties and its ability to interact with the nervous system. The human brain is extremely sensitive to inflammation and oxidative stress. These conditions can damage neurons and are associated with the development of various neurological disorders. This is where Copaiba oil begins to stand out. Studies suggest that some of its compounds may act through biological mechanisms that help reduce inflammation in the nervous system and protect brain cells. One of the main components of Copaiba oil, beta-caryophyllene, has a particularly interesting property. It interacts directly with the body's endocannabinoid system. This biological system plays an important role in regulating pain, inflammation, mood, and several neuroprotective processes. More specifically, this compound activates the CB2 receptor, which is found in cells of the immune system and also in cells involved in protecting nervous tissue. When this receptor is activated, it may help reduce inflammatory processes that affect the brain. This effect is considered especially relevant because chronic neuroinflammation is believed to be one of the factors involved in the development of several neurodegenerative diseases. Researchers have been investigating the role of this mechanism in conditions such as Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and other disorders associated with brain aging. In addition, some laboratory studies suggest that compounds present in Copaiba oil may help reduce oxidative stress, a biological process caused by an excess of free radicals in the body. Oxidative stress can damage neurons, disrupt synaptic connections, and accelerate the aging process of the brain. Substances with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, like those found in Copaiba, may help neutralize some of these harmful effects. Another interesting possibility explored by researchers is that compounds found in Copaiba may help improve communication between nerve cells. By reducing inflammation within the nervous system, these compounds may create a healthier environment for signal transmission between neurons, which is essential for functions such as memory, learning, and concentration. In natural medicine and herbal therapy, Copaiba oil has traditionally been used to relieve inflammation throughout the body. However, modern science has only recently begun investigating whether these same effects might also occur in the central nervous system. Laboratory experiments and preliminary studies have produced promising results, suggesting that certain compounds in Copaiba may have a protective effect on brain tissue. It is important to note that despite these encouraging findings, most of the current research is still in the experimental stage. Many studies have been conducted using laboratory models or animal studies, and further clinical research in humans is still necessary to fully understand the effects of Copaiba oil on the brain. Even so, scientific interest in this Amazonian oil continues to grow. The Amazon rainforest is considered one of the greatest reservoirs of biodiversity on the planet, and many researchers believe that natural compounds found in plants, such as Copaiba, may contribute to the development of new therapies in the future. In this way, Copaiba oil, used for centuries by indigenous peoples as a natural medicine of the forest, is now beginning to be studied through the lens of modern neuroscience. What was once traditional knowledge passed down through generations in the Amazon is gradually becoming a promising field of scientific research focused on protecting the brain and supporting the health of the nervous system. Among the many therapeutic effects associated with Copaiba oil, one of the most studied by modern science is its potential hepatoprotective effect. In other words, its ability to help protect the liver from cellular damage, inflammation, and toxic processes. The liver is one of the most important organs in the human body, responsible for hundreds of vital functions, including metabolizing chemical substances, filtering toxins from the blood, producing essential proteins, and regulating many metabolic processes. Because it performs so many functions at the same time, the liver is constantly exposed to factors that can damage its cells. Alcohol consumption, certain medications, ultra-processed foods, environmental pollutants, and even viral infections can trigger inflammatory processes that affect liver health. In this context, natural substances with anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties have been increasingly studied as potential allies in protecting liver tissue. Copaiba oil contains a variety of bioactive compounds known as terpenes and sesquiterpenes. Among them, beta-caryophyllene once again stands out. This compound has been the focus of several studies due to its systemic anti-inflammatory effects. Beta-caryophyllene has the ability to interact with the body's endocannabinoid system, activating the CB2 receptor, which plays a role in controlling inflammatory processes and regulating immune responses. When this receptor is activated, it may help reduce inflammation in various tissues throughout the body, including the liver. Liver inflammation is a central factor in many liver diseases, such as hepatitis, fatty liver disease, and cirrhosis. Although Copaiba oil is not considered a medical treatment for these conditions, some experimental studies suggest that its compounds may help reduce inflammatory processes that contribute to the progression of these diseases. Another potential mechanism behind its hepatoprotective effects is related to the fight against oxidative stress, a process in which unstable molecules called free radicals attack healthy cells. This phenomenon can damage cell membranes, DNA, and proteins found within liver cells. Over time, this kind of damage can compromise the organ's natural ability to regenerate. The liver has an extraordinary capacity for regeneration, but when oxidative stress and inflammation become persistent, this regenerative ability can be impaired. Antioxidant compounds present in Copaiba oleoresin may help neutralize some of these free radicals, contributing to the preservation of liver cell integrity, particularly the cells known as hepatocytes. Some experimental studies conducted in laboratory models have indicated that substances found in Copaiba may reduce biochemical markers associated with liver damage. These markers typically include liver enzymes that are released into the bloodstream when liver cells are injured. A reduction in these markers during experiments suggests that Copaiba compounds may exert a protective effect on liver tissue under certain conditions. In addition, the oil's anti-inflammatory action may help reduce chronic inflammatory processes that affect the liver, creating a more favorable environment for cellular recovery. This potential effect has drawn attention from researchers studying medicinal plants of the Amazon and their possible applications in modern herbal medicine. Despite these promising findings, it is important to emphasize that much of the research is still in its early stages. Many studies have been conducted in laboratory settings or experimental models, and broader clinical research in humans is still necessary to fully confirm the hepatoprotective effects of Copaiba. Even so, the growing scientific interest in this Amazonian oil reinforces something that indigenous peoples of the forest have known for centuries. The biodiversity of the Amazon holds natural substances with enormous therapeutic potential. Copaiba, with its oleoresin rich in bioactive compounds, remains one of the most studied plants when it comes to natural medicine and health protection, including the protection of the liver. Among the many traditional uses of Copaiba oil in Amazonian natural medicine, one of the most interesting is its connection to oral health. Indigenous peoples of the Amazon have used Copaiba oleoresin for centuries to treat mouth inflammation, tooth pain, and gum infections. This traditional knowledge eventually caught the attention of modern science, leading researchers to investigate how the compounds found in the oil may act against bacteria and inflammation in the oral cavity. The human mouth hosts hundreds of species of microorganisms that form what is known as the oral microbiome. Many of these microorganisms are harmless or even beneficial, but some can cause disease when they multiply uncontrollably. Among these conditions are dental caries, gingivitis, and periodontitis, which are common problems associated with bacterial buildup and inflammation of the gums. Copaiba oil possesses antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and healing properties, characteristics that may help protect the tissues of the mouth. Laboratory studies have shown that compounds found in Copaiba may act against certain bacteria responsible for the formation of dental plaque and gum inflammation. Among the bioactive compounds present in Copaiba oleoresin, beta-caryophyllene once again stands out. This natural terpene is known for its anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial activity. It may help reduce inflammation in gum tissues, while also limiting the growth of harmful bacteria in the oral cavity. When gum inflammation occurs, the tissues often become more sensitive, swollen, and prone to bleeding. This is one of the early signs of gingivitis, which can progress to more serious problems if left untreated. The anti-inflammatory properties of Copaiba may help relieve these symptoms by reducing the local inflammatory response. Another potential benefit relates to tissue healing within the mouth. The oral mucosa has a remarkable capacity for regeneration, but constant wounds or inflammation can interfere with this process. Compounds present in Copaiba may help support tissue recovery, contributing to the regeneration of gums and the oral lining. Researchers have also been studying the possible use of Copaiba in natural dental products, including herbal mouthwashes, gels, and toothpaste formulations. Some experimental studies suggest that Copaiba extracts may help reduce the formation of bacterial biofilms, structures formed by colonies of bacteria that adhere to the surface of teeth and contribute to plaque buildup. In addition, because of its natural antimicrobial properties, Copaiba oil may help control microorganisms associated with bad breath, a condition known as halitosis. This problem is usually related to bacterial activity on the tongue, gums, or between the teeth. In traditional Amazonian medicine, some communities used small amounts of Copaiba oil applied directly to inflamed gums or mixed into natural preparations used for oral hygiene. Although this traditional use is widely known, it is important to remember that any therapeutic application should be carried out with proper guidance, especially when dealing with concentrated substances such as Copaiba oleoresin. Today, scientific interest in medicinal plants from the Amazon continues to grow, and Copaiba stands out as one of the most studied species. Its potential applications in natural dentistry and oral health highlight the importance of preserving the traditional knowledge of forest communities who for generations have used the biodiversity of the Amazon to promote health and well-being. In this way, Copaiba oil is more than just a natural product of the rainforest. It represents a bridge between ancestral wisdom and modern science, demonstrating how Amazonian biodiversity may contribute to new approaches in the prevention and care of oral health. One of the most well-known effects of Copaiba oil in traditional Amazonian medicine is its ability to help relieve pain naturally. For centuries, indigenous peoples of the Amazon have used Copaiba oleoresin to treat muscle pain, inflammation, wounds, and various forms of physical discomfort. This traditional use eventually caught the attention of researchers who began investigating how the compounds found in this oil might interact with the biological mechanisms responsible for the sensation of pain. Pain is a complex process that involves the activation of nerve receptors known as nociceptors. These receptors detect potentially harmful stimuli such as inflammation, injuries, or excessive pressure on tissues. When activated, they send electrical signals through the nervous system to the brain, where those signals are interpreted as pain. Many painful conditions in the body are directly linked to inflammation, which triggers the release of chemical substances that increase the sensitivity of these receptors. Copaiba oil contains several natural compounds that can act on these inflammatory processes. Among them, beta-caryophyllene once again stands out. This plant compound has anti-inflammatory and analgesic properties and has been widely studied by scientists. This terpene has the ability to interact with the body's endocannabinoid system, a biological system responsible for regulating functions such as pain, inflammation, mood, and immune response. Beta-caryophyllene acts particularly on the CB2 receptor, which is found in immune system cells and in tissues associated with inflammatory responses. When this receptor is activated, it can help reduce the release of inflammatory molecules that stimulate pain receptors. As a result, the intensity of the pain signals sent to the brain may decrease. This anti-inflammatory action is one of the reasons why Copaiba oil has traditionally been applied to areas of the body experiencing muscle pain, joint discomfort, or inflammation. By reducing local inflammation, it may help relieve the discomfort associated with these conditions. In laboratory studies, some compounds found in Copaiba have shown the potential to influence chemical mediators involved in inflammation, such as prostaglandins and inflammatory cytokines. In addition, Copaiba may help reduce the sensitivity of inflamed tissues. When a region of the body becomes inflamed, nearby nerves often become more sensitive, causing even mild stimuli to be perceived as painful. By helping to reduce inflammation, the compounds present in the oleoresin may gradually help restore balance in these tissues, reducing nerve hypersensitivity. Another important aspect is that the analgesic effect associated with Copaiba occurs without the same mechanisms linked to many synthetic painkillers, which can sometimes lead to dependency or unwanted side effects when used excessively. For this reason, researchers have been exploring natural compounds found in medicinal plants as possible alternatives or complementary approaches in pain management strategies. In traditional Amazonian medicine, Copaiba oil was often used to relieve pain caused by wounds, insect bites, skin inflammation, and even joint pain. In some communities, small amounts were applied directly to the affected area or mixed into natural medicinal preparations. Today, modern science continues to study these effects in order to better understand how the compounds present in Copaiba interact with the nervous system and the inflammatory mechanisms of the human body. Although many experimental findings are promising, broader clinical studies are still needed to fully confirm the analgesic potential of Copaiba in different conditions. Even so, scientific interest in this Amazonian tree continues to grow. Copaiba represents a powerful example of how the biodiversity of the Amazon can offer natural compounds capable of influencing complex biological processes such as pain regulation. What began as knowledge passed down through generations of forest communities is now inspiring scientific research aimed at discovering new ways to understand and manage pain in a more natural and integrated way with the human body.